We are live. This is race number 9 at Martinsville Speedway in the ARC Racing Series qualifying series, a 10-race season, and the top 30 move on to be the A division when the ARC Racing Series begins. Hello, I am Aaron Keefe, alongside Rod Weston and Michael Snow on pit road. Rod, what are we going to see tonight?
We're back in Martinsville again. We've been here a couple of times. She's known as the paperclip. She's a long straightaway, tight corner, very limited banking. Not a lot of room to pass, so you're going to see a lot of bumping and banging. They do have the apron down at their bottom. No apron at the bottom. They actually have a curbing, which can really cause havoc if you hit that. So we've had some really good races here. We've had some good fast races. We've seen drivers win on speed. We've seen drivers win on strategy. There's a lot of different things that can happen here tonight. So I think Martinsville is one of the better tracks on the series and should be fun.
Now, Rod, we do have a new tire. We ran this tire last week, and we saw some terrific racing at South Boston, Virginia, a track not really known for two grooves, but we did see a battle side-by-side for third place, photo finish, and that was, as the race went on, we put rubber down, and that second groove came in enough where the guy on the outside could really hold off the guy on the inside. Do you think we're going to see some of that same racing here tonight?
I think it'll help a little bit if the drivers get out there and get some rubber on the outside groove. Of course, on the starts and restarts, you're going to have everybody side by side, so people are going to be forced to be on the outside. Haven't seen too many people out there running in that second groove in practice, so I think you're probably going to see that like per normal here, the roller groove is going to be a little more dominant. As the race progresses, we may get some of those slower cars that will pull up to that higher groove, and I think later in the race we should have an outside groove. Whether it'll be as good as the bottom, I'm not sure, but at least a little bit better of a groove out there by the end of the race.
We are used to seeing cars after about 20 laps get real loose. The heat builds up, the corners get slick. Do you think with this new tire, where it's laying down more rubber than usual, do you think we're going to see more of the same, or perhaps more than average, or maybe not as much sliding around after 20, 30 laps when the tires get worn?
I think we'll probably see a little bit less latter part of the race. Early part of the race, we may see a little bit of that, maybe in the first run. But as the rubber gets laid down, I think you'll find that the track is just going to get better and better. So for the drivers that probably have a really loose setup by the end of the run, they'll probably have the car that they need right where they want it. Drivers that may have a tight setup, they may end up finding that it gets a little bit too tight at the end. But I think that the tires will play a big factor in, and the back end of the cars will be a little bit more stable later in the race.
All right. All of the 22 cars tonight are making their qualifying runs. Right now, top of the charts is OJ Dampierre, who has had strong runs in the past, whether it be practice races or our last race here in week 5. He has the top time at 22.345 currently. Taylor Hurst is now in second, Spencer Preet third, Brad Newman fourth, and Brock Colston fifth. Now, Taylor Hurst, Spencer Preet, Brad Newman, and Robert O'Neill have all been strong contenders. Maybe not all of those have won a race in split one this season, but they've all been the top contenders week in and week out, no matter what track we go to. Now, not including those, I want to know who is everybody's pick outside of that as a dark horse to win tonight. If I had to choose, I would choose Karsten de Giant Tommaso. He just made it into split one 2 races ago. He had beat very strong Tim Bills in a race a couple weeks ago, and I think he's ready to challenge these guys. If not a win, I see him getting a 5th or 6th place, or top 5 or 6th place finish. Rod, who do you think is the dark horse for tonight?
I think that Carson's a very good, smart pit right there. But my driver is currently our pole sitter right now, OJ Dampierre. I've seen him run here some of the practice races. He's won races here. The last race we ran here, he was very fast. Unfortunately, got caught up in strategy move. He pitted a little early, got caught a lot down, and never recover from that. So my pick will be OJ Dampierre. Michael, who would you pick?
I'm gonna have to go with Taylor Hirsch. I mean, he led all the way through practice, and he's got a dominant time so far, and I just think he's my pick for tonight.
Okay, and Aaron, you said you know who we had our director of the broadcasting there. He kind of snuck in a little earlier and heard us talking about that. So, what was his pick?
Mark Arthur, our producer, was choosing Daniel Vining as the dark horse for tonight. Daniel is currently 16th on the board. We have about 20 seconds left of qualifying, and then these results will be official. But yeah, Daniel Vining, 19th quick in practice, 16th overall in qualifying. If Mark is going to win the bet, Daniel's going to have to find a little more speed. Possibly he has a long run race car. That could be it. We've seen guys be really fast at the beginning and then fall off, not being able to run those consistent times throughout the 30 to 40 lap run.
Yeah, and that's not a bad pick. He's actually done very, very well since he's moved up into Split 1. He hasn't been the dominant car, obviously. It's really hard when you get drivers like Taylor Hurst, Spencer Preet, Brock Colson up there, Brad Newman. You know, Robert O'Neill, he's probably going to do like he normally does. He is tonight, starting in the back, but he always seems to find his way to the front. But Daniel's been doing very well, keeping himself up in the Split 1, and that's a good pick. Well, hopefully, maybe Mark's choice will come true tonight.
That he does. All right. Qualifying results are official. OJ Dampierre takes the pole in the number 68 orange and blue machine. Taylor Hurst, Michael's pick, starts outside in the 74, unsponsored. Spencer Preet, third place. Brad Newman in fourth place. Brock Colson is in row 3 along with Aaron Masters. Row 4, Andy Lee and Travis Brown. Row 5, Alan Anderson and Martin Davio. Row 6 is held down by Carson DeGiant Tomaso and David Rudolph. Row 7, James Bunce and Brandon Cruz Monteveas. Row 8, Chris Shaw and Daniel Vining. Row 9 starts out with Douglas Thompson, and then we have a bunch of cars that did not put times in, and that includes Robert O'Neill, Chuck Smith, Paul Coleman Jr., Calvin Filarski, and Carson Aube. So, Rod, why would guys not make laps? I know you mentioned Robert O'Neill, who does this a lot. I think he's done it almost every race this season. But why would there be so many guys not putting in times?
Well, the thing I look at it is I myself am the same way. When I used to race a little bit more, I'd always start in the back because to me it's the challenge of coming from the back to the front of the pack. You can stay out of trouble that way too. If you're not one of them guys you don't think you're going to be on the pole, starting on the back, you can actually let the guys in between you and the front leaders do their wrecking, whatever, wait for the little bit latter part of the race and to get up there. But he's actually a fairly aggressive driver that makes its way through the field really quick. So to me, I think that's probably what it is just he likes the feel of coming from the back, going to the front. If I can win from back there, I can win from anywhere.
Now, Rod, isn't the object of racing to win, be up front, lead laps? I understand saving your car, but I would think that starting in the back at a short track like Martinsville or Sobo, it would almost be against your best interest to start in the back with the guys who aren't as fast, maybe not as experienced. I'd personally rather be up in the top 5 or 6 and just trying to settle in, get a run, and catch the cautions with everybody else in pit and just try to stay up front.
And I agree. If you're in a points race or really really hard into the points, that's probably the way to do it. But he knows that he's quick enough that he can run here, have fun, and keep himself into Split 1. Why not have a little bit more fun with it?
All right, pace car is off. The 22 car grid makes their way around turn 4. And OJ Dampierre hits the gas and takes the green flag, leads them all down the front stretch and into turn 1. He'll dive it in there. Taylor Hurst, keeping the outside, will have to eventually back off. OJ will try to clear him off 2. cannot do it, gives Taylor room just in case the bumper is there. OJ dives it into 3, still not clear. Taylor. Spencer Preet now looks underneath Taylor, puts his nose in there. Taylor gives him room. Looks like OJ is going to lead the first lap. Taylor falls in line in 2nd place, and Spencer Preet now in 3rd. Looks like the first battle is the 50 and 33 of Andy Lee and Travis Brown. That is for 7th place. And they are side by side. Andy Lee has the preferred line going into 3. Travis Brown tries to make a stick, could not do it, could not carry that speed through corners 3 and 4. Now gets a little tap by the 19 of Alan Anderson, and he falls back in line. So far, Rod, we've made it through 3 laps, and not really a lot of bump and bang, so that's good to see.
You see most of the drivers that were on the outside groove, they just fought really hard to try to get down to that inside groove. It's a product of the tire having more rubber on the bottom of the track. Hopefully later on in the race, we'll get a little bit more rubber up there, and then they'll be able to run outside. But this track is pretty much a one-groove racetrack, so that's the nature of it. They want to get down to the bottom. Now, watch them. We'll see if anybody can pass each other without giving them too much of the chrome horn.
That is what we are seeing, all single file pretty much throughout the entire field. Everybody's just staying in line, settling down, and waiting for that person in front of them to make a little mistake so they can stick their nose underneath. Looks like Travis Brown is trying to come back underneath Andy Lee. Takes a peek. Andy gives him a little room. Again, that battle is for 7th place. Travis Brown sticks the nose in there. Andy Lee backs off a little bit, gives him the place. Travis is now up to 7th.
Travis Brown's a pretty good little talent. He runs real well. I know he's been on probation for some stuff that he had going on a few races back, but he's a pretty hard charging driver. He'll come up through the pack pretty good.
Now, earlier on in the broadcast, Rod, your pick, OJ Dompier, you talked about some of his pit road troubles, and we can talk about a little bit more in depth. I mean, he's had countless problems, especially on short tracks, where he'll go down pit road, lose track of where the pace car is, and just barely miss beating the pace car out, putting him a lap down. And then from there, just his strategy has not lined up for him. And he's had some of the fastest cars in these races, and unfortunately has finished a lap or 2 down, back in 9th or 10th place, or maybe even further back.
Yeah, and that basically happened. At the time, he wasn't running up in the front, so he was trying to find a way to get a little bit of an advantage. Anything he could do to get an advantage. So what he did, he basically did what they call short pitting. He pitted a little earlier than he probably normally had to try to get fresh tires on the car and use those fresh tires to maybe, catch him up a little bit. And then the caution flag came out, and it caught him a lap down. And then when he'd try almost get to be the lucky dog position, or everything he tried, he just the cautions kept falling wrong for him, and he could never get out of that slump that he was in 1 lap down. I think actually he was down to like 2 laps by the end of that race, all on just strategy calls that went wrong.
Don't look now, but that white and silver machine, number 64, Robert O'Neill, started in the back, and he has now moved up into the 12th place, just got past the number 8 machine of David Rudolph, now sets his sight on Karsten DeGiant Tomaso, kind of bounces off the wall a little bit, does Karsten, and Robert O'Neill is able to stick a nose in there, barely in there, and off the turn, he'll try to pull him down the front stretch, and looks like Karsten tries to hang it on the outside, and now he'll give up that spot. So put Robert up. Oh, it looks like we got a caution on the track. One car, didn't catch the number. It looks like the 81 maybe.
08 of Karsten Avi had lost it off the corner. I'm not really sure what happened to him here. We're checking the replay to see what went wrong. Probably it's not hard to do that if your setup can be a little bit off. You come off the corner a little bit hard on the throttle. The tires are just heated up a little bit, spun the rear tires probably, and just spun it around.
Yeah, Rod, looking back at that replay, looks like the 08 just coming off the corner, got his left wheels rubbing on that yellow line, and that's some of the curbing that you were talking about coming off that corner, and just spun it low, kept it out of harm's way. But he'll be able to continue with as little damage as possible as he just backs it a little bit into the outer wall, getting straight again. But unfortunately, he's now a lap down.
Yeah, and that's the curbing where it runs into a problem. A lot of the tracks have an apron, and the apron is actually less angled than the actual track is. And you've heard me talk about it time and time again, what they call de-wedging the cars. They go into the corner, the car's a little tight, so they put the left front tire down on that apron, and it takes and puts a little bit more pressure on the right side of the car, right rear of the car, causing it to get a little loose. Well, here you've got about a 4-inch curbing, and what happens when you do that is the car just lifts right up. It disrupts the whole suspension right up. It does not good. 9 times out of 10 it causes the car to push, because now you've only got one tire in the front that is actually getting any traction, if it is any at all, and then you usually run into the car on the outside of you or get shot out. So he hit it just right, just wrong, I'd say, and then just looped him right around.
Looks like some of the leaders went down pit road, probably the first 15 or so, and we have a little pit strategy going on. We got Paul Coleman, I think Aaron Masters, Brandon Cruz, and maybe possibly Alan Anderson all stayed on the track while everybody else came down pit road. Now we're only on lap 14. I'm wondering how much, if they don't pit. Well, actually, it looks like now Brandon is coming down pit road, so maybe he stayed out to lead a lap. Looks like him and James Bunce are now coming down pit road, but if or they did make pit stops. Now I'm wondering if with Paul Coleman and Aaron Masters staying out, does that put them at a large disadvantage with only 15 laps on the board?
Well, the problem with that is you really are still learning these new tires. They're a bit softer, so they have a little bit more grip to them, and they leave a lot more rubber down on the track. But we have seen last week some guys that just took 2 tires did okay. Other guys that it didn't work out so well. So it really depends on your setup, but I would imagine probably some of them guys will end up having to struggle with it, as Paul Coleman got a wicked jump as soon as the pace car went off on the pit road. He jumped the field, but he's not going to stay there long.
Oh, he gets tight around the corner. I don't know if that's a product of his worn tires, but he sure led them to the line, and now he's going way wide. It looks like maybe he's giving away. He just wanted to lead one lap, and looks like he's not even trying, just trying to get back where he can settle down and maybe run a few laps until all of their tires even out. Oh, we got one car diving in, slams Brock Holson in on the door. Looks like that's Carson DeGiant Tommaso trying to take over that, trying to manhandle that position from Brock Holson. And now they'll dive it down. And we got a battle for second now. Looks like Spencer Preet trying to take over that second place position. And Aaron Masters continues to lead. And Spencer Preet is battling with Alan Anderson. And OJ Dampier is now sitting back there, just wanting them to get single file so he can continue moving up and passing those cars that did not pit. But it looks like Spencer Preet now has the advantage over OJ, as through all of that traffic, he now is in front of him and the first car that pitted and put on tires.
Yeah, you gotta love the some of the old retro paint schemes we got out there. The 31 of Aaron Masters and Brad Newman there has got the old Valvoline look. Those are kind of cool. But I think with the older tires on there, and you got someone like Spencer Preet, or OJ Dampier, and Taylor Hurst behind you, it's just a matter of time. Those guys are the cream of the crop. They're going to come rushing right back to the top. So you give it a little bit of time, those tires that Aaron Masters got are going to kind of probably fall to the wayside, and these guys will just drive right by him.
So up front, Aaron Masters continues to lead on those older tires, but Spencer Preet is creeping up there. Now cuts the lead and dives under the 31. Spencer Preet to the lead. OJ tries to follow, gets a little loose off that corner. Taylor Hurst now will fall in line in 4th place. OJ tries to take over 2nd. Looks like Aaron Masters is probably going to see the same fate as Paul Coleman Jr. Now, being on those old tires, he will not be able to compete, as he is not as fast as those front 4. So looks like he's going to give up the first 4 positions, now kind of battling back on the outside, not giving it up to Brad Newman as much as easily as he gave it up to those first 3. But I think eventually Brad's going to pass him, and then Aaron's going to try to stay in 5th place and keep those leaders in sight.
Yeah, and I think that was a smart move by Aaron Masters. He knew he had old tires. He knew that Spencer Preet, OJ Dompierre, Taylor Hurst, and Brad Newman were going to be coming with new tires. He just pulled over and let them go, not risking getting his car broke or wrecked off the bumper of Spencer Preet. He just let him go, tucked back in where he could, and there he goes again, just pulling over for Brad Newman. I think that's smart. He knows he's got older tires. He's just trying to wait for maybe the next caution, and hopefully he can keep himself right there in the 5th spot where he is now.
Yeah, and OJ Dompierre to the lead. Taylor Hurst follows in 2nd. Spencer Preet just moves over wisely, knows that he cannot compete right now with OJ trying to save his tires and not battle it out and allow everybody else to catch up. Wisely tucks in 3rd, Brad Newman 4th. Now, Taylor Hurst and Brad Newman, they are teammates. Spencer Preet is another teammate that has been battling this other couple of teammates. Michael Cozy Jr., who has won a few races this season, is a teammate of Spencer Preet, but unfortunately could not make it tonight, Rod.
Yeah, that's too bad that Cozy couldn't be there, but I'm sure that he'll be okay as far as the split goes. We've only got one more race to go at Michigan. He usually runs pretty stout there, so that'll keep him into the points. But this is a great race going on tonight, though. We got these guys just running all over the place. We got to get some guys up in that upper groove, I think. But it get some rubber up there, and we can get to see some more side-by-side racing.
Yeah, hopefully in time we do see that, but I guess we need to give the credit to this new tire. It definitely puts down more rubber than the old one, allowing for better racing, better two-groove racing, and it does play with the handling of these cars. It's not as consistent as it used to be throughout longer runs. It definitely, I guess, depending on your car, it definitely wears out the handling. And yes, the better drivers, the better handling cars will ultimately prevail. As it looks like, I think the 64 Robert O'Neill has now moved into the 5th place.
Yeah, he's on a move. We knew he'd be coming. Aaron Masters, you can see coming off the corner, he's starting to get a little loose. So those old tires are just starting to bite him. He's pretty much sitting out there just hoping that a caution will come and save him so he can get on equal tires with everybody around him. But I'm sure he'll probably lose a few more positions, especially being as loose as he is off the corner. He's not able to get the power down. He's spinning the wheels. That's going to hurt him for time.
Yes, it will. OJ continues to lead. Taylor Hurst 2nd. Spencer Preet, now they are battling some lap traffic of the 08, Carson Abbey and James Bunce. They both go a lap down. It looks like Calvin Filarski did not take a lap tonight. Maybe a little later he'll be able to get a few laps in, get some points if he can get his car started. Looks like he has went back to his race car. Looks like they did have some starter problems, so maybe they can get that fixed and they get out there and get some more points for that top 30 standings.
Yeah, with only one race to go, if you want to try to get into the split one and for the last week and try to be in that top 30 that's going to go and be the A main group, you really have got to use your strategy right, and you do not want to miss a race or lose that many points. It's some of the guys down at the lower part of that could really easily just drop down to split 2 and may not make enough points in the split 2 race for next week to actually get themselves back up to the top split.
All right, looks like Spencer Preet still in 3rd, holding off Brad Newman, and Robert O'Neill has come through the entire... Oh, Spencer Preet, a little kiss off the wall. We did speak about that last week at South Boston. We called it the Sobo slap. Spencer Preet did comment mid-race to our pit road reporter that every now and then I guess occasionally, he comes off the corner and gives that right side a little tap. And I guess he was a little frustrated by his inability to stay off the wall, but it does not slow him down at all. Wow, we got a little cluster here of lap cars in between the 2nd and 3rd place drivers. Daniel Vining, Mark's pick, and we got Paul Coleman, who was our leader, and the 53 car Douglas Thompson. Oh, contact. Douglas Thompson and Paul Coleman get together right in front of Spencer Preet. Spencer will say, not right now, as he goes under them. Brad Newman follows. So, wow, a little tense moment there for some of the lead lap cars trying to get around this traffic, as it doesn't work out to the lead lap car's advantage when you have 2 lap cars really fighting it out as much as Douglas Thompson and Paul Coleman are right now on the track.
Yeah, and that makes it pretty hard, but you know, the rule book doesn't say they have to move over, and especially if they're racing side by side for position, it's really hard to, you know, just want to, you know, roll over and let somebody go by you. But a lot of the drivers, these guys out here, they're professional drivers, they're really good. They will get out of the way, you know, as soon as they can, and, you know, respect the guys that are a lot faster. And then you'll see that when they're side by side, the faster cars may have to be a little bit patient, but they usually, and once they figure out who's what and where, they usually let them go.
Now, as we look back in the pack, we got Brock Colson now in 7th place. Right in front of him is Aaron Masters, who did not pit. So he has 14 more laps on his tires. We are now pacing at lap 40. So he has, or everybody else has 26 laps on their tires. So we should look for Aaron Masters to be pitting in about 20 laps if everything stays green. But we're probably going to see Brock Colson eventually get around him for the 6th place. Behind him, we have Martin Davio, the 81. Oh, we got contact right behind him. James Bunce, the lap car, goes around off the front of another car. And I don't see a caution out just yet. It looks like, oh, there it is. Caution is out. James spun to the inside. I don't know if he wasn't clear if he got going right away, but what a tense moment right there, right in front of right in mid pack.
Yeah, that was hard. That's a hard place to get turned around too. So he was kind of in a situation. Basically, it looks to me like he was on the high groove, trying to stay out of the way. Martin Davio just kind of got into the corner a little hot, got into the left rear corner of him. Not sure how the officials will call that, due to the fact that yes, he did get spun, but probably the caution came out because James had spun back around to try to go and then pulled out in front of another competitor. But that's, you know, they're professionals. They'll let us know which way that goes.
Yeah, the officials gave him time to try to get it back going, but when he didn't get back going enough and the leaders were coming around, that's when they had to throw the caution, as they had a car sitting there. They didn't want any carnage to happen. But yeah, you're right. It did look like Martin tried to dive it in there and pass that lap car. Maybe he got a little too hungry, not as patient as he could have been, and he did kind of slide up a little bit into the quarter panel of James Bunce. Now, I was just talking about him, and I wanted to talk about him a little bit more, but maybe later on, as we have cars coming down pit road, now we should see everybody come down. As O.J. Dompier leads him down. Looks like everybody is, except the lap cars. They have to pit on the next lap, but O.J. leads him down. He's in his pit stall. Looks like they're going to get tires and fuel. Everybody should get tires and fuel, as they are. Looks like they are done. And OJ, looks like Chuck Smith did not pit. I don't know whether if that was to lead a lap or if he's going to come back down pit road. Brandon Cruz tried to do the same thing again. Chris Shaw stayed out. Looks like Spencer Preet was the first one off pit road. Taylor Hurst second, and OJ went from first to third on that exchange of pit stops.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who took what for tires there. It's kind of, but I think they probably all took 4. That's too bad for OJ Dompier. He was right out there out front, but I don't know if he's got enough to get past Taylor Hurst and Spencer Preet, but it'd be interesting to see. Chuck Smith, yeah, he usually hangs out up there to try to lead a lap, and then likes to go to the back just to get out of everybody's way until he likes to save the car to the latter part of the race.
Yeah, last restart, OJ had the preferred line in 5th place, and somehow through getting through those front cars that didn't take tires, Spencer was able to get in front of him and lead them all through the guys who didn't pit. But then OJ was able to come right back and take back that spot and take Taylor with him. It will be interesting to see now as we have waiver rounds, trying to catch back up to the back of the field, and we'll be going green. It will be interesting to see how long it will take, if he can, OJ Dompier to lead him back through from 3rd to 1st.
Yeah, the 2 waiver rounds are Carson Avi and Calvin Filarski are the 2 drivers that decided to stay out. You take a waiver round, hope for another caution pretty soon. Maybe that'll give them a chance to get their lap back and then get in and get some fresh tires.
Yeah, it looks like Calvin Filarski was able to get his car started and on the track. He is now 22nd place, 40 laps down. And as you mentioned, he was one to get one of those laps back via wave around. And Carson Abbey, the second one, he's now only 1 lap down. So that puts him in position. If he can get by a few more cars, possibly picking up the lucky dog if he's the first car 1 lap down. But off turn 4, Spencer Preet leads him down to the green once again. He gets a little jump on the field, and he'll be able to clear Taylor Hurst going to turn 1. Taylor in second, and O.J. Dampier will now battle Brad Newman coming off corner number 2. And it looks like Taylor Hurst is taking a look to the inside of Spencer Preet for the lead.
Taylor's usually runs real strong here. I think he'll probably pick that up, especially now that he's got Preet out on the outside line, but Preet is not giving up. He's not going to just roll over. He's going to see if he can get that outside line to roll and maybe stay ahead of him.
Oh, we got a little, one car sideways in the middle of 1 and 2. They got into each other and they all cleared. A couple of cars went high to clear it. Travis Brown made up the most ground through that, kept the pedal down and passed all those cars. And that will move him up to 8th place. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Rod, but I believe this is the first time Taylor Hurst has been in first position, leading his first laps. It's either been OJ or Spencer Preet since lap 1 to lap 50.
Yeah, I think this is his first time leading laps tonight, but it ain't his first time leading laps over here at ARC Racing. Taylor Hurst has really done an awesome job. Even though Spencer Preet is our points leader, I think Spencer Preet's been leading some laps, but he's also finishing a lot better. I know Taylor's had some races where he may not have done as well as he should have, but no, he is a talent. He will be, once he gets up front, 9 times out of 10, you just see him walk away.
So now as everybody gets single file again, fresh tires, everybody's trying, or at the start, everybody's trying to get as many positions as they can. But then everybody pretty much settles single file. As we see OJ now diving to the inside of Spencer Preet, taking over that second spot. Spencer gives it out without a fight and falls back into 3rd place. Doesn't really want to allow Brad Newman to get under him, because then Robert O'Neill was right there. He would take over, or he would lose 3rd and 4th place, putting him back to 5th. And then there's a little gap back to Brock Colson, the number 4 machine, in 6th place.
I think you're seeing Spencer Preet do what we call points racing. He knows that he's fast and he can probably go up there and be as aggressive as everybody else. But if he stays right where he is, should the race finish like he is, he's still going to have a great points night and nobody's going to take him off that points lead. So I think you'll see that he's just being smart, trying to stay out of trouble. As long as the car's going forward and not turning around the other direction, he's going to have a really good night.
Yeah, while we don't have any pivotal battles going on right now in the top 10, let's talk a little bit more about the points. This is race 9 of 10, so we have one more race at Michigan next week. Right now, Spencer Preet has ran all of the races along with Taylor Hurst. Spencer Preet has 2 wins on the season, is now leading Taylor Hurst by 36 points, and with only 1 point separating each position in this league. Well, then again, we are in split 1, so technically they get a multiplier, so every position means 2 points, not including the bonus points. If Spencer Preet gets top 5, I think he's going to have no problem sealing the deal, because if you get top 5, that leaves 10 points to be made up there. If he doesn't lead a lap or get any bonus, Taylor can really only make up another 5 points, so that's about 15 points a race times 2 races left, 30 points. Spencer Preet is the winner if Taylor Hurst can only make up 15 points a race. So right now, it looks like you're saying, Spencer Preet could be points racing, trying to hold on to that lead and that win in the points. So he's 36 up. Michael Cozy Jr., 63 back. Again, he's not in this race. Taylor Hurst's teammate Brad Newman, 98 back. And Ryan Borges is in 5th, but he's a no-show again this week. Maybe somebody should give a little check on it, pulse check on him. Nobody's really heard or talked to him recently. And then OJ Dompier and Robert O'Neill, 6th, 7th, Aaron Masters, 8th, Richard Holiday, not in this race, 9th, and Stephen Winton rounds up the top 10.
Yeah, it's too bad, too. I'm kind of curious to see how many races Ryan Borges doesn't make and if he can stay right into split one. You know, if he doesn't make this show, doesn't make Michigan, does he still have enough accumulated points to stay into split one? That's an interesting concept.
We are now riding along with in car with Robert O'Neill. They've been battling a little bit in the last 3 or 4 laps. He's gotten into the 69 of Brad Newman a little bit. Just looks like he's a little faster in the middle of the corner, and then off. It gets a little sideways off the corner. Brad Newman is a little better, but now as he dives it in. Corner 3 off 4 again, he gains a little bit and then loses a little bit off 4 down the front stretch. He'll try it once again, dives it in, gets about a quarter car length, almost to the bumper. Now he is there, tries to make a move to the inside. Oh man, Brad Newman barely gave him room there off 4. And they'll drag race down the front. It looks like Brad Newman comes off the wall, maybe gives him a little tap in the side, telling him, whoa, buddy, you're running me a little too close, a little too early. And Brad Newman is forced, as he gets loose off that corner, forced to give up that 4th place.
Now, it's interesting to watch Robert O'Neill come up through the pack. He is very methodical. He's aggressive, but you don't really see him using the bumper, per se, as much as some other people. He picks and chooses his spots and works his way to the front. Knew he'd be there. Great race when he done.
Well, to have a car to make it through this quickly, he has to have a good car. I don't know if maybe you can take the top 4 and say that they would do the same thing. But other than that, he has to have a strong car, especially if he's now passing cars in the top 4. We have a caution. One car like on the straightaway just spun to the inside. I didn't get a glimpse on who that was.
I think it was the 71 of Chuck Smith. We'll see if we can figure out that for sure.
Right, looks like you're right. Just lost it coming off the corner, put it head first into the inside retaining wall, and then pulled it off the track. So really tough break for Chuck Smith. He really hasn't had a strong run where he's kept it out of trouble the last couple weeks. I know he blew his engine a couple weeks ago. Just tough break for somebody who really gives a lot of room on the track.
Yeah, he was actually running really well at South Boston, but a little bit of pit strategy to use put him up to the front, and he kind of got in a situation up front there where he got moved back a bit. But he has some good races, but most of the time they call him Gentleman Chuck just because he is. He's out there to have a good time and do the best he can, but he's not out there to cause conflict.
Looks like everybody's down pit road right now. OJ Dompier has that first pit stall that benefits whoever's in it. It looks like Spencer Preet now drops the jack. He will make it out ahead of everybody else. Brad Newman in 2nd, and Taylor Hurst in 3rd. It looks like OJ had a little lengthy stop than everybody else. He's not in the top 5. Looks like he's going to come out probably about 5th or 6th. See, like 6th place. We got Spencer Preet, Brad Newman, Taylor Hurst, Brock Holson, and then Travis Brown making his first appearance in the top 5. And OJ Dompier goes from 1st to 6th in that pit stop exchange. Tough break.
All right, and we got Michael Snow down there on pit road. You got some information on OJ Dompierre's stop?
Yeah, Rod. He actually had a tire gun malfunction. They had to change it out during the stop. That's what caused his lengthy stop there.
Well, thank you very much for that information.
That is another tough break for OJ Dompier, who is a self-proclaimed a not good pit person, as he said so himself a few weeks ago. He just really struggles on pit road. If I was him, that would be one of the things I practice the most, but he's definitely put some time into that setup, and hopefully that makes up the difference with his pit road troubles.
Yeah, and that's the big thing about racing. You can't just get complacent with a setup. You can't just say, oh, "I've got this setup right. It's good. I don't need to make any changes." You got to keep working on them. You got to keep making them better. As soon as you get complacent, somebody else will figure out what you've done, get to that point, and then go beyond you. So they've all worked on their setups. They're trying to make them better, and it's showing for the guys that are up front right now. They're all running really strong.
All right, cars are getting double file. Wave arounds have made their way to the back of the pack. Looks like we are waiting one more lap to try to get everything sorted out. And then these street stocks will make their way back green. So Rod, tell us, what is the hardest part of the race as far as physical wear on the car at a track like Martinsville?
There's a lot of brake usage here. You got long straightaways and really tight corners, so they actually usually come in here with a decent brake package, so that's not usually a problem, but that's one thing that can break. Other than that, you're running a lot of gear in these things, so the rear gears or axles take a beating and usually break.
All right, pace car is off. Spencer Preet will lead him down. He gets another good jump. Once he hits that restart box, he will lead him down without any competition. Brad Newman follows back in second place. His teammate Taylor Hurst third. Brock Colson trying to hang it on the outside and hold off Travis Brown. Looks like he is clear. Travis will, Travis tries to jam it in there, cannot. Brock slams the door, and that's the top five. Sixth place is now a battle. Looks like OJ is trying to continue to hold that sixth place. He does over Aaron Masters, and will get back in line and try to make his pilgrimage back up to that top spot.
That was really good there. We saw two drivers, Brock Colson and OJ Dampierre, actually make passes on the outside groove, so they're getting enough rubber up on that high side so that they actually can do it. Can they do it lengthily? Basically, can they do it through a whole race? Absolutely not. But maybe a couple of laps, they could, if your car is good enough, you might be able to make that pass on the outside, and two guys have just proved that they can do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with Robert O'Neill on that last pit stop. He is now back in the 13th spot. That is OJ Dampierre's teammate. So we normally have at least 3 sets of teammates. Now with Michael Cote Jr. missing, we have 2 complete sets. And it looks like, speaking of teammates, they are battling Spencer Preet up front. All 3 you can throw a sheet over. And Taylor Hurst is bumping and banging with his teammate Brad Newman, possibly trying to bump the other one past Spencer Preet. Spencer just not getting the drive off as they come off 4. Brad Newman is able to close in to a quarter car length, but still unable to take over that first spot. Spencer Preet still holding it down, and we have OJ Dampierre taking over the 5th spot from Travis Brown. Come off 4. Site now, Brock Colson.
And I think you're correct there that Newman and Hurst team combination, like as you said, they were teammates. They really have got them cars working really good off the corner. They're not losing any ground. That's really where they're making up that ground. They get on the gas, the thing sticks. It bites really well, and they're getting off the corner good. Spencer Preet's still hanging in there, but I don't know. But them 2 guys behind him, they may have something for him.
The 4 car moves over for OJ Dampierre, realizes he's fast, gives him the high side down the back stretch, and that's the front stretch. That's pretty wise of Brock Colson to do that, so he doesn't get in a challenge, get put up on the high groove, and then allow a few more cars to pass him. So OJ now on the move, started 6th on this restart, now up to 4th. Those top 3, they are all right together. OJ was probably going to close in, and it looks like Spencer Preet might be holding those other 2 up a little bit, and OJ should be able to close up without an issue. We'll keep an eye on that battle, but let's go further in the field. Let's see, behind Aaron Masters, we have Karsten the Giant Tommaso. He's in 8th place. He's in a little group of cars that includes Alan Anderson and Andy Lee. There's a lot of A's in those names. They're in 9th and 10th. And then behind them we have Robert O'Neill, who just got past the 8 machine of David Rudolph. Then we got Brandon Cruz Monteveas, 13th, and the last car in the lead lap right now is Chris Shaw in 14th place. One car we saw get into a little incident earlier on is Martin Davio. He's in 15th place. The first car one lap down, the first car to get a lucky dog spot if another caution comes out. Looks like Brad Newman moves over for his teammate Taylor Hers. Says, go ahead, Taylor, you're a little faster than me. I'm not going to hold you up anymore. I thought Brad Newman was going to be able to take the lead there, but I don't know. Maybe Spencer Preet has more of a mid-run car than a sticker tire car, Rod.
Yeah, and that's quite possible. I was watching that whole thing kind of unfold. Taylor Hurst was starting getting to the point where he was spinning the tires coming off the corners. He was really trying and pushing to try to get past Brad Newman, because he's trying to get up there, see if he can't take the points away from Spencer Preet. But as we talked earlier there about how Brock Colson moved out of the way, I think that's another product. Not only is Spencer Preet out there points racing, but you've got drivers out there that may not be in the top, and they're probably at the lower part of the split. So they're going to do the best they can and be courteous, so that they're always pointed forward and going forward to keep themselves into split one by the end of the Michigan race next week.
Yep, as you were mentioning that, Spencer Preet did just that, moved over low on the backstretch, let Taylor Hurst get the lead back. So Taylor Hurst is in your number one spot again, Spencer Preet second, Brad Newman third, OJ Dompier in fourth, and a soon-to-be battle we have Brock Colson in fifth, and it looks like Travis Brown now giving him a few bumps in the middle of the corner, trying to get by Brock Colson. So it looks like Travis is having a pretty good run tonight. I know Rod, before the broadcast, you were speaking highly of Travis. What do you think he's doing differently tonight than what he's done in previous races to be running, very near the top five?
A lot of these drivers like cars that are just on the edge of being loose. I mean, to the point where you could almost spin it out. And with this new tire and the way it rubbers up the track and the way it works, it probably fell right into his hands. In other words, the setup likes it a lot better. It feels more comfortable to him, and as long as the run goes, he's really got a grip on these new tires, and that's a hard thing to do. I've heard Spencer Preet just complain about them because they just didn't act the way he wanted them to act, but he's worked harder and harder and worked on the setup and made him better.
Yeah, well, let's take a little closer look at that battle for fifth, as it looks like it's probably one of the closest battles on the track right now. Travis Brown running a little lower line to Brock Colson off the corner, and as they dive it into three, looks like Brock now runs a lower line. Looks like Travis is maybe backing up the corner just a little bit. He's running the high line going into center and then diving it low, as you see right there. A good advantage right there as he puts it in high and then gets the run off the corner. Now takes a look a little bit on Brock Colson, wasn't able to get it in there, and now you see it again, runs that high groove as they enter the corner, and then coming off, dives it low, almost like a sort of slingshot. As they come up on the 10 car, the lap car of Paul Coleman, that might play to not play Travis Brown's favor, as they all need to go single file past Paul. But now Travis dives it in a little lower, tries to get to the bumper of Brock. Brock gets a little more drive off, as Travis had to run Brock's line going into that corner because of the lap car. But then again, he reassumes his pattern in line, and still not able to get past Brock, but keep an eye on him. Looks like Travis Brown is hungry for a top five.
Yeah, we call that late apexing. What he's trying to do is actually run in high and come out late and trying to get a better run off the corner. Just got a little bit loose on exit right there, so he's trying to get that late apex to work, but Brock Colson is just quick enough for him, so he can't quite get his nose in there enough to kind of get by him without roughing him up too much.
We currently have 21 cars running on the track. Chuck Smith is still on pit road trying to get the front of his car repaired. Chuck got loose off corner number 4 and just dove it head first into the inside retaining wall. Rod, with a car that mangled, what exactly is the crew having to repair to get his car back out on the track?
We have a caution on the track.
One car is down in the grass, turn number 1. Try to get a replay to see who that was.
I didn't catch who that was actually, but
looks like it is the 08 of Carson Abbey, who is 4 laps down. We'll try to figure out what exactly happened to him. Looks like he's having a little bit some slight electrical issues, but it looks like he just got high, tried to get out of everybody's way, and just looped it around. Probably got in those marbles, Rod, as with this new tire, it's putting down more rubber, and part of that is these little balls of rubber that get thrown outside the groove and can cause havoc if you don't keep your car in the groove. Maybe you can explain that a little more for our viewers.
basically what happens is as these tires go out and they wear off, the rubber actually gets built up on the track. But as the tires go down, that rubber buildup kind of sticks to the tires, and then it throws them off. And they call them marbles because basically that's what they do, is they roll up like little balls, and they go to the outer part of the track where the drivers aren't racing. What happens is you're out there racing with a really, really hot tire. So you get up under that, out of that groove, into those marbles. They stick to the tire, and then you go down a straightaway. You go into the next corner. You haven't got rid of them marbles yet. It doesn't stick very well until you get them marbles off. So that's usually what happens when somebody gets into the marbles. That's why they call it getting into the marbles, and they just get really, really loose, and they can't get off the corners or in the corners very well.
So everybody just came down pit road, and Spencer Preet's pit crew seems to be on top of their game as he again made it out in first, a large gap back to Taylor Hurst second, Brad Newman third, Brock Colson fourth, Aaron Masters in fifth, and unfortunately OJ Dampier again just slow times on pit road back to sixth place. So not looking good. Oh, we have a little bit of contact as some cars had to check up. Pace car was coming around the end of pit road was closed, and it looks like one car just had a little bit of brake trouble, dove it in, and got in the back of another car. It looks like that is the 10-lap car of Paul Coleman Jr. having brake trouble there. It looks like he did make it past the pace car, but just barely, and gotten into the back of one of the other cars waiting there. So it looks like Paul Coleman may have to come down pit road and get some of that repaired.
And we saw OJ Dampier once again had a pretty lengthy stop. He did not have a good one. A few cars beat him out there. Michael, you have some information on what happened to OJ Dampier on his pit stop.
Yeah, Rod. He actually had an issue with his jackman. The jackman had the jack slip out from the post, and they had to get the car back off the jack so they could continue the pit stop. Another tough break for OJ Dampier.
All right, well, thank you very much for that information. Yeah, it looks like OJ is just having a real rough time tonight on pit road. Looks like the pace car's got him lined back up again here. They might be going green here in just a little bit.
Yeah, Rod, I don't know if OJ's crew needs to lay off the donuts or get more time in the gym. I don't know. If I was him, I'd have to make a change.
Definitely want to make some changes. Probably by Michigan, we'll see some new changes made. And we're getting ready to go green again.
And Spencer Preet is going to lead him off the corner. Let's see how big of a jump. And he leads him down. Taylor Hurst was not fooled this time as he stays even down the front straightaway. They cross the line. Spencer Preet dives into one. Taylor Hurst stays there in the high lane, just about half a car length back. Spencer Preet is able to just about clear him off the corner. Taylor Hurst tries one last-ditch effort to get the lead from Spencer Preet off the corner. Spencer is clears him. Taylor Hurst back to second, Brad Newman third, Brock Colson fourth, Aaron Masters fifth, OJ Dampier sixth. Looks like Travis Brown in seventh. And then there's a battle 19, the number 19 car and 38, Alan Anderson and Karsten DeGiant-Tomaso. They battle. Karsten on the high side dives it in, takes over that 7th place. So it looks like all the cars again are getting single file out, and this race becomes a conveyor belt once again.
Yeah, they had some pretty good racing going on there. You were announcing the guys up front. Down back there, Travis Brown and the 38 of Karsten DeGiant-Tomaso. I know I don't say that quite right. And Alan Anderson. They were actually battling it out pretty hard right there. But the guy that came out on top of that was Travis Brown. Now he's got his sights set, I would say, on OJ Dampierre, but I think he's going to have to get by Aaron Masters first.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the pit times. Spencer Preet had a 21.2 on his stop. Next closest was a 23.1 by Brock Colson, and then the 68 and of Robert O'Neill and Taylor Hurst both had 23.7s, and Brad Newman had a 24-second stop.
The main reason why these guys are going to be able to get the stops, and then that may seem like a lot if you watch NASCAR and they're doing 12-second pit stops. These aren't quite like NASCAR. They actually have to open the trunk in the back of it, use a 5-gallon can to put fuel in it. But we have been running, not real long, so they're not having to put as much fuel in there. So I think either the guys are only taking just enough fuel to get the amount of the time it takes to put the 4 tires on there and keeping themselves up front.
Whew. One car just got sideways and went all the way down to the inside. That was Brock Colson trying to get out of the way of the flying OJ Dampierre. Brock got, probably made that move a little too severe than it had to be, and just turned it left down the straightaway and got out of OJ Dampierre's way. And he lost probably a little more time than he wished, as Aaron Masters is now banging on his door, trying to take over that 5th spot. And again, Travis Brown is there as well.
And that's what we call putting a little too much wheel in it. You are in a situation where you think you might get yourself in trouble, so you actually turn the wheel left a little harder than you normally would. The car bites, and then the tail end decides to try to go around you. As Robert O'Neill takes another position to a lap car, but he's headed his way back towards the front. He's back there a little ways right now in 11th spot, but it'd be interesting to see if he can make his way back up to the top 5 again.
Yeah, I wonder what his issue is. He keeps falling back whenever everybody's pitting. With him and OJ Dampierre being teammates, are they possibly sharing crews? Does the pit crew chief need to be fired for those teams? I'm not really sure. I just know they're not getting their money's worth, and they're not able to keep up with everybody else in the pitting game.
Yeah, and it's hard too. You got to figure these are low-budget teams. They don't have the money to go out and hire, the athletes like some of the NASCAR teams do. These are most of the time are just good friends, good buddies, maybe beer drinking buddies, and that could be some of the issue right there. But they do definitely seem to be having a bit of an issue on their pit stops tonight, but not on the handling of the race car and working their way through traffic. They are very impressed tonight with both of those cars.
Taylor Hurst dives it, puts his nose in under Spencer Preet. Looks like Spencer holds him off that one time. Taylor's going to try to dive it in there once more, slides up a little bit. And he's kind of diamonding the corner, which is different from what Travis Brown was doing a little earlier in the race. Rod, how does diamonding the corner help versus what Travis Brown was doing versus just holding the low line here at Martinsville?
A lot of that depends on the setup, and I'm going to interrupt that part of it for a minute. Watching Robert O'Neill pass Dave Rudolph on the outside the hard way, and he's getting it done. That car is really, really good. The difference in diamonding the corners versus late apexing them is basically you're actually dropping to the corner, you let the car slide up a little bit in the middle, and then you late apex it. So instead of actually rolling it, come up a high side, and then coming down to the bottom, you actually slide up and make like a diamond-shaped turn out of it. Not always the best way to do it, but depending there again on your setup might be better to do that. And then unfortunately, Robert O'Neill, as I was reporting on him, ended up getting a little loose on the outside of the corners and was not able to get past Dave Rudolph.
Yeah, the high side is probably not recommended. Maybe if you're passing a car that's yielding to you. If you're doing it with somebody who's wheeling it, and we know David Rudolph wheels it every lap. He's not going to just give it up, so you may end up using up more stuff than what you want to. As Taylor Hurst dives it in as they cross the stripe, lap 117, you're just past halfway. Taylor Hurst takes over the lead. Spencer Preet now stuck in the high side, and they train past him. So Taylor Hurst to the lead, Brad Newman to second, OJ Dompier takes third, and there's a little gap back to Brock Olson where Spencer will now settle in and just follow these guys as the front four now are in a breakaway on this field. I do want to give call to Chuck Smith, who on that last caution did manage to get his car fixed and back on the track. He is in the 21st place, 31 laps down on his own lap. So he's just out here running laps in case attrition starts to set in. And, you know, that could happen. I believe we've only had 4 cautions, and we're just past halfway. We get another caution, and then we have another, you know, cautions breed cautions. We could get a big one here where you have possibly one car blocking the track, and a few other guys would know where to go that could take out some guys and ruin their days. And Chuck Smith could possibly move up a few more positions. But battle on the track right now is OJ Dompier trying to pass Brad Newman. Brad gets into the wall a little bit, a little Spenceritis. Goes in a little high, comes off the corner a little sideways. OJ Dompier is coming off a little lower. It looks like he's getting a little better run off the corner. One car sideways in front of Taylor Hurst, the leader. That is Paul Coleman. 2 lap cars double file in front of the leaders. That makes a little anxious moment for the front four as they need to make their way outside, inside, as they weave around the 10 car and the 53 car of Douglas Thompson and Paul Coleman Jr. Again, they're both on the same lap and always battling each other. So again, they assume their side-by-side battle. They let the leaders go and they continue battling. So battling for all positions around the track, Rod, no matter if you're 3 laps down, 31 laps down, whatever it is, you just keep trucking.
Well, you're here to race, that's the thing. And back to Chuck Smith there, we started talking about him and the caution came out. And pretty much the way that car looks, it's pretty bent up. I'm pretty sure they had to put a radiator in it. And that entails a lot of trying to take some hoses off with a really, really hot motor. The left front of that car looks pretty banged up. I'm pretty sure they had to put an upper control arm on that and maybe a tie rod end. It looked bent really bad. So that stuff takes time, especially when you don't have the quick release stuff like some of the top teams do. So that's pretty much probably what took him the time, was getting that left front squared away just enough so that he could actually get out there and turn laps. That front of that car looks pretty beat though.
Moments ago, scary moment for our 5th place car, Brock Olson, that Paul Coleman machine. I don't know if his tires are worn, if maybe he got a wave around last caution, but he is not fast and just sideways and just bumped doors with Brock on a straightaway coming off the corner. So Brock was able to continue on, and Paul Coleman continues to drop back, and still that Douglas Thompson machine is stalking him. But back up front, it's still Taylor Hurst leading OJ Dompier as he was able to get past Brad Newman shortly ago, and Spencer Preet was able to follow him through. So now Spencer back up to 3rd, Brad back to 4th, and still a gap to Brock Olson and Travis Brown and Aaron Masters round out the top 7, and Robert O'Neill is back up to the 8th place. I think he started back in 13th or so on that last caution. Rod, you commented a little earlier on how well he was making it through the field on that last caution. How has he been able to make it up to the 8th place?
He's getting into the corner really good, and the car is just flying through the center off. It's not getting sideways at all. When he puts the power down, it's got the traction there. Most of the slower drivers, the lap cars, have been really courteous in letting him go. The other drivers that he's passing, he's just wheelmanning it past them as he gets past all those guys there. But Watching the 69 of Brad Newman, it looks to me like he's really run that car too hard. The right rear seems to be a little bit loose on it. He might have worn that right rear tire off, and we got a spinner on the backstretch.
One car, it was Paul Coleman Jr. battling. I don't know if it was Douglas Thompson who he was battling with, but they just got together coming off the corner. I don't know if Paul Coleman maybe got into the wall and bounced off, but he was sent to the inside, sideways, maybe bumped up his right front, but now he makes his way around the track on the apron. So we have caution on the track once again. I'm sure these guys are happy about that as they're able to get some fresh rubber at as soon as the pit road opens.
I think on that one there, I mean, I had to make a call. I'm not really sure what happened. I didn't see what happened the laps before, possibly too, but it looked like Alan Anderson just got into the corner, trying to get off the corner as hard as he could. Paul Coleman was up in the top groove, trying to stay out of the way, and it just kind of touched and it looped him around.
All right, leader brings him down pit road. Taylor Hurst, OJ Dompier. We got Spencer Preet, Brad Newman, Brock Colson leading him down. Let's watch and see if OJ can keep some of his track position now as he makes his way down into his pit stall. Again, he has the first pit stall on pit road, which is supposed to be helping you on pit road get off where you can nail the gas and you don't have to worry about the pit speed limit as the cones for the race off to determine positions are, you know, just a few yards away. Looks like Spencer Preet again is the first one to drop the jack, but he races down and Taylor Hurst is able to edge him out, and we have another battle for third place. Looks like Brad Newman is able to get that one, and then another battle coming off pit road between a bunch of cars. It looks like OJ goes from second to fifth. He was in a battle with, it looked like his teammate, Robert O'Neill, and one other car. But that was some tense moments as all those cars almost got together there right around where that mark is to determine where your spots are. Looks like we had two cars staying out. One car will lead a lap. That's Chris Shaw, the number 45 machine. Haven't mentioned him at all. He's had a quiet day. He has now pitted with the lap down car, so Chris Shaw gets a bonus point. His car looks flawless today. No damage on that. Martin Davio also stayed out. Looks like he also pitted. So not sure if he was able to lead a lap there or not. Looks like scoring is saying that he was able to, but then he took it down pit road, and so he has that 81 machine and now at the attention of his pit road crew. Takes 4 tires and now is on his way. So that will give the lead back to Taylor Hurst. Spencer Preet second, Brad Newman third, Brock Colson fourth, OJ Dompier fifth. We had Robert O'Neill in that battle with OJ in sixth. Andy Lee was that other car in seventh place. Travis Brown comes off 8th, loses a few spots. Aaron Masters as well in 9th. And David Rudolph in that 8 machine in the top 10. Other cars on the lead lap. The 154 car, Brandon Cruz Montefias, we haven't talked much about him today. He's having a quiet day, still on the lead lap. That's what you want to do. You want to just hang around, be on the lead lap, not get your car damaged, and be there at the end for that last green flag run. Maybe try to play some track position. If it's a green flag pit stop, maybe pit early. Hope there's not a caution. Gain some track position on fresh tires. And then Martin Davio, Chris Shaw, Carson DeGiant Tommaso, and Alan Anderson round out the top 15, all on the lead lap.
Yeah, and I understand that, Michael, you've got some information down there. You talked to the crew chief of Spencer Preet.
Yeah, Rod, I just spoke to the crew chief of Spencer Preet. He said that at minimal it's going to be two 4-tire stops with fuel, maybe a few adjustments to try and get that car up to par, trying to win the race.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael, for that report. Now, Rod, what are some of the adjustments they're able to do in race? I know they can do a lot more bringing it into the garage, but what are they mostly adjusting during the race?
They actually only have 2 adjustments per the pit stops. And basically it's tire pressure and then the amount of fuel they put in there. Latter part of the race, they'll probably only put a little bit of fuel in there. It changes the weight transfer on the car. Sometimes it makes it feel a little bit more better if it's got the weight more to the front as we're getting ready to go green.
Yeah, this time Taylor Hurst leads him down, gets a little bit of a jump on Spencer Preet. No challenge by Preet as he'll fall back in line, and Brock Colson is the first one out of whack. Now stuck in the high groove in third place. Brad Newman will easily take that spot. Brock Colson get a little bit hung out to dry as OJ tries to take over that fourth spot from him. Brock trying to pin him down and hang on to that track position he earned on pit road, but not able to do it. They're 3 wide back in the pack, a few lap cars. It's like Douglas Thompson is one of those, and Paul Coleman, but a battle for fifth now. Robert O'Neill, now not back in the pack, doesn't have to charge up through the field this time. Holds off that 50 car of Andy Lee to assume the 6th spot. Everybody's single file now. Travis Brown is the first one diving down low, try to take a look to the 31 of Aaron Masters. He will dive it in there. Aaron Masters gives him room, gives him some respect. Travis gets a little sideways off the corner, and Aaron Masters will keep that position for now. Travis still trying, but he's going to have to fall back in line. So again, everybody gets single file. We have, just one lap car, Paul Coleman, running that really, really high groove. I know he likes to run the high groove. I'm not sure if he's trying to make that come in or not. One car isn't really going to happen, Rod. You really need to have a few more cars to get some more heat and put down some rubber in that really high groove if it's going to become a line that anybody's going to contend with.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the drivers actually moving up off from the bottom of the racetrack, which is actually very good. It'll put some rubber up on the inside portion of the outside groove, but yeah, we need to get they're going to need a lot more people to get out there and lay rubber on the outside before the outside groove is really going to be probably the dominant way, and I really don't think you're going to see that happen. Everybody wants to be on the bottom here. It's the shortest way around the track.
Yeah, right. As we have a few battles going on, it looks like Brock Colson just moved over for Robert O'Neill. Fastest, Travis Brown got a little sideways, but Andy Lee is now backing off and letting some faster cars go by him. But Rod, we didn't get into it, but let's talk about the apronless track here at Martinsville. As we were talking a little earlier, we mentioned that there are actually curbing in the inside, and maybe that's why some of the guys aren't running all the way down to that yellow line in the corners, moving up the track a little bit. That would help with keeping up the speed through the corners to get a little more speed down the straightaways. But what happens if these cars hit that curbing?
Oh, it's violent. It actually picks the left front tire right up off the ground and takes a lot of the weight off the front of the cars, causing it 9 times out of 10 to push. And when it pushes, the car drifts up, and you do not want to be on the outside of somebody when that happens. So, that's the downside to the curbing. Most of the guys will just try to avoid it, like you said. They're running away from it, further up away from it, and trying to put the groove up there a little higher so that they don't have that problem.
One car getting really close to the curbing last time by, off corner number 4, was OJ Dompier, as he's getting a little impatient with Brad Newman for 3rd place. OJ pulls even with him, or at least even with his bumper now, so he'll have to follow through 3 and 4 again. Gives him a little tap now. Looks like OJ is working the center of the corner a little better than Brad Newman. And Brad's able to pull away on the straightaways a little more as they settle down single file again. Robert O'Neill is 5th behind those guys. So the top 5, top 6 are all spaced out evenly. Looks like we have a little less than 80 laps to go. Rod, what are you thinking everybody's going to do coming to that last pit stop?
We got a spin there on the back. Turn 3 and 4. Let's see if it gets caution or not.
Yeah, it looks like that car is able to safely get it turned around before the leaders get there. Great job by him as he's able to get it going again.
Yeah, they is 81 of Martin Davio just got in the corner a little bit hot, got into the back of Carson's car, and then just kind of looped him around a little bit. But he did. Carson did a really good job of just spinning it around, and he getting headed.
That is a tough break for Karsten. Of course, my pick.
Caution is out.
And yeah, you're right. Caution is out on the track, and we'll have to figure out why it's on. Possibly maybe some debris. I don't see any damaged vehicles setting around. All right, I was mentioning Karsten as we try to figure out what this caution was for. It looks like we got Chuck Smith again. Again, loses it in the same corner, puts the same front end into the inside, and takes her to the garage. So maybe a bent part in that front of his car, or do you think it's still a handling issue, Rod?
It's quite possible that something's broke. He hit that thing a ton. They may have had like a ball joint just finally just snap under the stress and cause him to, lose control of the car. I'm not really sure. I didn't really get to see the whole incident, but that's probably something broke and it just lost the car again. It's unfortunate, and especially hitting it in the same spot. It don't take much to bend these frames to the point where you have to send them back to the IFS chassis shop and have them straightened out.
75 laps to go. This won't be the last stop, but the leaders bring down pit road. OJ Dompier looks like he takes 2 tires, gets off first. Robert O'Neill, his teammate, gets out second, and very close battle for third place. Looks like Brad Newman is saying with his car that he took it over. Brock Holson fourth. So looks like a little pit strategy with only a few laps on these tires. The front guys playing a little different strategy here, as Spencer Preet and Taylor Hurst playing it safe, getting 4 and losing some spots. I guess I'm not surprised that this is happening. I was just about to ask, what do you think is going to happen on their last pit stop? I don't think this will be the last pit stop, even if it stays green. I think they can only run about 60 laps on a tank of fuel, but I could be wrong. If this isn't the last pit stop, do you think the guys who took 2 tires are in trouble?
I'm not really sure about that. There's so little time on these tires that they got. They may be able to run out front for a while. If we get a really long green flag run, that may really come into a point where it may not work as well. Michael, you got some information down there on, I'm not even sure the name of the team, but the OJ Dompier Robert O'Neill team?
Yeah, Rod, I just spoke to the crew chief, Robert O'Neill. They said they're kind of depending on the whole the precautions deal here, trying to gain a little bit of track position, taking 2 tires on the pit stop. They're hoping that maybe another caution will come out real quick so they can come down and get 4 and keep their track position. Other than that, they're trying to hope that they can make the race on just one more stop.
Okay, thanks for that information. I had noticed, though, as these guys are going, granted, these tires are all new to us, so we're still not really sure what they're going to do. I figured the way they ran at South Boston that they would probably be a little bit better tire, and they do seem to have a better tire, but I am noticing a lot of the drivers in about the 30 lap mark of the run starting to get a little bit of loose. So even though the rubber's getting down there, they're still fighting to get off the corner and keep the car underneath.
Very good. Thank you for that report, Michael. And Rod, looks like pace car is staying out this time. We'll see if it decides to pop back in. The officials did extend the caution for some wave around cars, maybe a few cars out of position. Looks like this is the first time OJ Dompier is going to lead him down, other than the initial green flag run. He had I don't know what Robert O'Neill's issue was, but he was not up to the side of OJ at the start, but so OJ was able to hold on to first place pretty easily, and Brock Holson kind of got the bad end of that deal because Robert O'Neill was actually a full row back from where he was supposed to start, which jumbled up that top line, putting Brock Holson out. But Brock was able to get down to the inside, and he'll now be 5th. Robert O'Neill has fallen back from 2nd down to the 4th place, as they're getting a little jumbled down. It looks like you have Taylor Hurst and Spencer Preet making their way through. Preet was actually able to take over 3rd place on that start and get in front of Robert O'Neill and Brock Holson. And now Taylor Hurst is now 3 cars back from him, stuck behind a few, not necessarily slower machines, but maybe at this moment right now, Taylor Hurst is a little faster than Brock Holson. Brock Holson, again, just backs off. We've seen that all day from him, giving the faster machines the line up top, but then dropping right back in line, not giving up that inside so that he does not lose any more positions than what he has to.
Yeah, and you saw on that start, O'Neill's car just did not get into the corner very well, even though he had 2 brand new tires on the outside. You need those left side tires, and there's not enough rubber up there, and the car just didn't stick. So So he had to fight for a little while out there on that outside groove until he finally found a hole that he could drop down and back into the bottom groove. So now he's just kind of hanging out around the 4th spot. Like Michael said, they're using a strategy here to try to get themselves up front and hope that the next time that they come into pit, maybe they can come in, take 4 tires, and keep that position.
Brad Newman now working that 2nd spot. He has not led yet today, but he's been up in the top 5 all night with just 65 laps to go in this 9th race in the 10-race qualifying series for ARC Racing. We've had an excellent show. I want to say last week in South Boston with the first race with this new tire, we put on a terrific show. Cars were using that high side, which we don't normally see, to hang even, to hold off guys. We even saw a few passes. We saw a photo finish between teammates for 3rd place. I think all the drivers had a lot of fun. One guy not having fun tonight is Chuck Smith. He has brought his car behind the wall. He's done for the night. Gentleman Chuck Smith, not a very happy camper tonight as he spun twice, brought out 2 cautions, but will not bring out a 3rd as he has brought it behind the wall.
You know they're going to spend the week chopping that front bumper off. Who knows? Hopefully not. Hopefully they didn't do too much damage to the framework underneath there. Bumpers are easy to replace. Frames are not so easy to replace. So hopefully the underneath the chassis is still good. They'll be able to replace a few parts and get that car ready for next week at Michigan.
Very good, Rod. As OJ continues to lead, Brad Newman in 2nd, Spencer Preet now gaining on Brad a little bit, maybe slightly a little faster. We have Robert O'Neill 4th, and Taylor Hurst has not been able to pass Robert O'Neill as he is in 5th spot. Again, a little gap. Those top 5 have been a little faster all night long over Brock Colson, who hasn't had the speed, at least not the speed that he had last week, as he did have the pole, but then crashed out early. But we have Brock Colson in 5th place, or 6th place. And then we have Aaron Masters giving up some track position a little bit to that number 8 of David Rudolph, and that is for 7th place. And as we go back through the field, so Aaron Masters is back to 8th place. Travis Brown, who's been hanging just outside the top 5 all night long, he's going to challenge Aaron Masters for that 8th place. He's in 9th currently on the track, and one car we saw kind of close to the top 5 a little earlier is Andy Lee, who is now in 10th. 11th place was Karsten the Giant Tommaso. One guy I wanted to talk about before that last caution. I was saying that, he had a tough break a little bit ago, getting spun out. But, being my pick, I really thought he was going to have more speed than what he had. He's shown a lot of speed in split 2, and maybe in a few minutes we could possibly get an update from split 2. Maybe we can send somebody down there and just see who's leading that race, as some of that may determine who gets in to split 1 in our final week, as we have a few drivers who didn't make the race tonight who are on the bubble for staying in split number 1. But going back through the field, Karsten the Giant Tommaso in 11th, Martin Davio in 12th, 13th, Alan Anderson, 14th, Brandon Cruz Montevideo, Chris Shaw is in 15th. Those are all cars on the lead lap. First car 1 lap down is James Bunce. Daniel Vining is 2 laps down in 17th. Paul Coleman Jr., who's been all over the track, high side, low side, inside, spun around, gotten into Douglas Thompson. He is 2 laps down. He took the wave around the last caution, so he is now on the same lap as Daniel Vining, but off the same lap of Douglas Thompson. So maybe those guys will race a little more clean since they aren't on the same lap. So Douglas Thompson is in 19th place, 3 laps down. And then we get into the guys who have had trouble tonight. We have Calvin Filarski, who spun earlier, trying to get out of everybody's way in the marbles. He is 44 laps down in that 104 machine in 20th place. Chuck Smith, who just retired his machine, 55 laps down. And then Carson Aube is 80 laps down. I may have made a mistake. I think Carson may have been the one who spun earlier. but he is 80 laps down in 22nd.
Yeah,
So
I
back
sent
up
Michael
front.
down.
Go ahead.
I sent Michael down to see Chuck Smith and to see if he could find out some information about his night. Michael, what do you got on the 71 of Chuck Smith?
Chuck actually did decline my interview when I tried, but I did speak to the car engineer, and he did say that Chuck did break the upper A-frame of the left front of his car, so the car is going to be done for the night. Other than that, Chuck did decline my interview. I'm going to see if I can get more information as a caution flag comes out on the track. Back to you.
Thank you, Michael. Caution on the speedway. One of our lead lap cars got into the lap car of Paul Coleman. We've talked about him all night long. Brad Newman drove it off corner number 2, and just, I don't know if he got tight, Rod. He kind of just moved up into the 10 car. I don't know if the 10 car got into the wall and just moved a little bit down, but it looked like Brad Newman just got a little tight and maybe didn't realize Paul was going to be there because he was just so much slower.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened tonight, actually. Paul's been really good about trying to stay out of the groove and out of the way, and he was really high on the racetrack. But the problem with these guys are, you look them off the corner, you really want to try to get past somebody, and if you've got the a power enough, the grip enough, you want to get on it as soon as you can. If you're used to being able to use the whole track, when you lose that ability and somebody's there, sometimes the cars push up, and that's probably what happened. He just pushed up, kind of got into the back of the 10. It's unfortunate, but we'll see what the officials say and who they point the finger at, as it were.
Yep, pit stops with 50 laps to go. These should be the last pit stops. We saw Taylor Hurst blow through his pit stall, had to back it up and go forward again. So I think that mistake, his crew decided not to take 4 as he got out in front of everybody. I don't know if that is a good decision, Rod. If this is the last pit stop, maybe he's hoping that there's another caution within our last 50-lap window. But if he's going to have to be out there on just 2 tires, that might not be too good for Taylor Hurst, as I think everybody behind him got 4.
Yeah, and that's not the time you want to have a pit road mistake. You want to do those as early as you can so that you can recover from them. So being this late in the race, pretty much probably what you'll see will happen is they've made their bed, they got to lay in it, as the old saying goes. So they will probably just ride it out, see what they can do. Maybe, quite possibly, if there's another caution, but I don't know. I'm pretty much sure they can go the distance on fuel and tires. I don't know. So I think he'll probably, unless he gets past really hard, we've seen drivers take 2 and stay out there and win. So it's kind of this is what they got to do. They got to be able to win. They made the mistake on pit road, so they took advantage of just taking 2 to get the track position.
Yeah, tough break for Brad Newman, who was deemed to be at fault for that incident involving the lap car of Paul Coleman. We saw it live on the broadcast. Brad Newman just drove it off the corner a little too hard and got into that 10 car, spinning him down to the inside. So Brad will have to go to the end of the longest line. He's going to be probably back to 15th or 16th on the field, and he's going to have to make it through. So it looks like both teammates, Taylor Hurst in first and Brad Newman last car in the lead lap, they're both hoping for another caution as early as possible.
Yeah, and we just found out we got some split 2 information there. Michael Snow, what do you got about the split 2 race going on tonight?
All right, thanks, Rod. And I went down there and I talked to them. They've had 3 cautions so far. They have 10 cars currently running, and they had 20 cars start the race. So far, they haven't had any big wrecks. Had just single car, 2 car accidents, as far as he told me. Other than that, race is running smoothly. Back to you.
Great job. As they take the green flag, Taylor Hurst blows it through the start-finish line in front of Spencer Preet. Spencer Preet in second. Battle for third between Brock Colson and Travis Brown. People we haven't seen up in third place, especially Travis trying to hold it on the high side. We had a 3 wide, and Carson DeGiant Tommaso gets sideways. A few cars get into him, and that's going to bring out the caution that Taylor Hurst and Brad Newman were hoping for. What a change of events, Rod.
Wow, that was a big chain reaction accident. Somebody got in the back of Carson there. I didn't quite see who that was. and it just bound up, piled right up really bad right there in turn 3 and 4. Man, there's so many cars involved in that one.
Yeah, it looks like Karsten went in on the high side of Aaron Masters. Uh, Maybe the back end of Aaron Masters tapped him a little bit, but then he went high and maybe tried to fit his car in where the 50 car of Andy Lee was there, and he just came down, or Andy Lee and Karsten made contact right in front of 3 or 4 other cars, including David Rudolph. Robert O'Neill was able to escape on the high side, but Rudolph got a little front end damage. And unfortunately, Brandon Cruz got a little help into the car, and Brad Newman was accidentally got into Daniel Vining. So chain reaction didn't bode so well for some guys, including Carson the Giant Tommaso. Tough break for everybody involved, but definitely a big help for Taylor Hurst. We'll see if he comes down pit road.
I don't think he will. I think you'll see him stay out. He's made his bed. He's going to be there. I would hate to be the official on that one there. That was a tough call to see who actually caused that issue, whether it was the 50 into the 38 or actually Carson coming down onto Andy. I don't know. I really wouldn't want to have to do that.
Yeah, Rod, it's one of those things where at a short track, you know, that's the name of the game, bumping and banging through the corners. There's really only one true groove here unless rubber builds up to create a second one. So cars are always fighting on those green flags to try to get down to the bottom, you know, without losing as many positions as they have to. So we'll see what who the officials plays blame for that incident in a minute or so. And unfortunately, it looks like it's Carson the Giant Tommaso was given that penalty, possibly for trying to dive it down into that corner when he was unclear, and he'll have to drop back to the end as his penalty was an EOL end of the longest line penalty. So he was already 15th place, last car in the lap, so he won't lose any more time. But unfortunately, will have to make his way back up from the 15th place spot.
And hats off to Brock Colson, Travis Brown, Aaron Masters. They're right there, right behind the leaders. Hopefully they can stay there and run really well. Them guys do run pretty good, but they just don't seem to have the speed that Taylor and them guys do have as we get ready to go green.
All right, as we go green, we're going to ride along with Aaron Masters in the 5th spot as he looks ahead at the battle between the 4 and 33 car. They're still side by side. Right behind him, Robert O'Neill gets a little tap, but resumes to fall in behind Aaron Masters. But you guys are looking at the battle right now between the 4 and 33 car as they're still battling. Travis Brown is not one of those guys who just back off and give a spot just for the hell of it. He does not give up an inch on the track. Drives pretty aggressively, not dirty, but aggressively. As Aaron Masters now takes a look at the inside, got a little sideways off that corner, or he'll have to, it gets a little sideways again as he gets into that 33 car, and now pushes up the track, and Robert O'Neill now drives under Aaron Masters, and will try to take that 5th spot. Aaron will try to fall in and protect himself from the 19 of Alan Anderson, and this is probably the highest Alan Anderson has been up all day long, as he's now running in the 7th spot, trying to pass Aaron Masters for that 7th place. Gets a little sideways. Everybody's getting a little sideways off the corner when they really need to push it.
Yeah, Alan Anderson in the 19 there, the unsponsored car, is running really stout tonight. Running a little better than we've actually seen him run as of late. So they must have been doing some testing and figured out something. They've got that car really rotating through the center very well.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit of chain reaction in some corners where we have one guy get a huge run, maybe late break into the corner to see if there's anything there to dive it low, but then the guy in front of him maintains the line, shuts the door, and then he has to get on the brakes, possibly gives that guy a bump, and the guy behind him gives him a bump, and then it sort of starts a little bit of a chain reaction, and And we saw that a few moments ago with Aaron Masters in the 19 car, and now we saw it a lap ago with OJ Dompier, who now gets under David Rudolph. OJ was back in the pack. I wonder if he pitted on that last caution, sorry, and maybe try to get some fresher tires than everybody else up front, try to gain an advantage, as we only have 34 laps to go as they cross the stripe. It's Taylor Hurst, Spencer Preet pulling away from third place Brock Holson, and Travis Brown is knocking down the door of that 4 car for third place.
Yeah, the intensity is going to pick up here now. We're getting down to the latter part of this race. These guys are trying to, fight for as many positions as they can. I don't think you'll see Brock Colson be the gentleman guy that he's been driving the way he's been all night, just trying to, save a bit positions and not get wrecked. Now it's getting down to the point where I think you'll see him actually start fighting for those positions, trying to do the best he can, as Travis Brown just gets in the back of Brock and then gets the back of the car loose on the exit of turn 2, just gathers it up and just keeps right on going.
Yeah, I think we are going to continue to see that looseness coming off the corners when the drivers stomp that gas pedal coming off the corner. The tires are just getting too worn and they just don't grip, causing the car to get a little loose and for them to lose speed. As we have an incident on the track. Looks like I think it was Martin Davio just drove it down, and the car he was underneath did not want to give up that track position, and they beat and banged into that corner, and eventually one car lost it. It might have been the 19 car.
Yeah, and I'm hearing information from the pit that the 68 did not pit on that last pit stop, so
looks like everybody is now coming down pit road. I got word that last caution was David Rudolph, not Martin Davio, diving in there on Alan Anderson. Alan Anderson was the one who spun. Tough break for him. We were just talking about him, who was holding down the 7th spot. The leaders are now coming down pit road. I wonder if OJ is going to stay out. Looks like Taylor Hurst is in his pit. Brad Newman pits. We have Spencer Preet down pit road. Brock Colson, Aaron Masters, Andy Lee, Travis Brown. Robert O'Neill is first out of his pit stall, but Spencer Preet is going to have the lead, at least off pit road. Taylor Hurst gets off pit road second. Robert O'Neill third. Aaron Masters. Looks like Andy Lee was 5th off, and Brock Colson. So Brad Newman probably stayed to get 4. And he wanted to make sure he had the freshest tires out of everybody since he's already back in the pack. He still has not been able to crack that top 7 or 8 from having that penalty on the caution a few cautions ago. But it does look like OJ did stay out, Rod. So he pitted last caution. So OJ has the lead playing pit strategy. Can he hold it with only 28 laps to go?
I'm thinking, I'm sitting here watching him. He is the leader. He took 2 tires on the last stop. He's got Brandon Cruz Masaveas right behind him, and Alan Anderson right behind him. So you've got a car on the outside and a car behind you that are probably not as fast as he is. It might be good if we go green. Possibly he gets a breakaway while the faster cars are trying to get past the other 2 cars. He might be able to give them enough room so they can roll off and take the victory.
We are going to see some action on this next green flag as Spencer Preet will be in the outside of row 2. I'm thinking he's going to try to dive it in between Brandon Cruz, who's now in second, and the 19 car of Alan Anderson, who spun and stayed on the track. Hopefully his tires are all up and inflated. We are going to see some action as Spencer Preet, Taylor Hurst, Robert O'Neill, and Brad Newman back in the pack. They all need to get up there. There is only 26 laps to go. Pace car peels off. OJ Dompier is going to lead them off turn 4. He hits the gas. Spencer Preet gets impatient, gets into the back of Brandon Cruz a little bit. The 19 car doesn't get a good start. That's what Spencer wanted, but now Spencer is caught out in the outside lane. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to drive down. Taylor Hurst dives it down to the inside, makes it 3 wide for that 3rd spot, thinks wisely of it, falls back in line behind the 19. Everybody's checking up. The first Well, second through fifth are now, or through eighth are now in a giant pack. They're 3 wide for second. Spencer Preet falls back. Now he's going to make a 3 wide in the middle for fourth place. He makes it through. One car is up. Brandon Cruz gets out of the way. The damaged machine. He was second. Now he's falling back to eighth place. Everybody's made it through. Wow, what a drive! And they're still going at it. And one car, the 50 car, gets sideways back in eighth. He holds on to it. Now they're 3 wide for fourth place. As Brock Colson dives it down under Aaron Masters, backs off, gives him some space. Brock dives it back down, and he'll continue on in sixth place. Aaron Masters right in front of him. They're both trying to get around the 19 car of Alan Anderson. Rod, I need a breather. This action is very intense. OJ has a commanding lead now, up about a second and a half. Rod, what do you think is going to happen these last 20 laps?
If I'm OJ Dompier, I'm going to run. I'm going to run and hide. Taylor Hurst with 2 tires versus his older tires, I'm pretty sure that he doesn't have a short enough race to the end to actually get away from Taylor. Whether Taylor can get by him or not, that yet remains to be seen. But I am absolutely amazed at some of the 3 wide racing that we had going on there on that start. And everybody still, there's some bumping, some banging, guys are, slipping and sliding, but they kept it going and they kept it going straight. That's awesome racing for these guys.
We may have a few more cautions than many drivers would have liked, but that racing we just saw on that last green flag without causing an incident was insane, and a testament to how well and the skill level of these drivers in these cars, especially with a new tire. There's one car right in front of the leader. That's the Valvoline car, that white car, the 69 of Brad Newman, and caution is out. There's one car that spun down to the inside, might have been by himself. I was just going to say that Brad Newman was on the tail end of the lead lap. I'm not really sure what happened with him, but that all changes now as we have another caution, another yellow. Brad Newman will be able to pull up to the back of the pack, maybe put on 4 fresh tires. I don't see the leaders pitting now, Rod. There's 18 laps to go. I think what they have is what they have.
Well, absolutely. They're done. Whatever they've got, they got. Even OJ Dompier being up front, coming in to take 2 tires or even 4 tires, he would never be able to make up that position. It looks like what happened there, from the replay view that I had, I couldn't really see. I know James Bunce was on the high side, Dave Runoff was on the bottom. I think it'll be up to the officials to find it out, but I think they just had a little bit of race contact there off the front of Dave Runoff's car. Whether one came down or up, I don't know. James Bunce was spun around, but this is really going to be some fun racing to watch from here on out. If it's anything near what we just had on that last restart, Aaron, you better catch your breath then.
Yeah, I am surprised. The cars in the back, we still have 16 cars on the lead lap. I'm surprised not more of them in the back. Back half, maybe 10 on back. Only one car pitted. That was Karsten. He was 7th, and now he's going to be in about 15th. Brad Newman, who barely stayed on the lead lap, he also came down pit road, but he wasn't caught up to the back of the field, so now he's going to have to try to beat the pace car, and he is going to go a lap down, not able to beat the pace car off, as he's going to go a lap down with only 16 laps to go. That is a tough break for Brad. I don't know. I think his day is pretty much done, or at least the top 5, maybe even the top 10, if he's able to get another caution and get the lucky dog. It also looked like he was having maybe some electrical issues under caution before he pitted. Just his car just didn't look right, didn't sound right as it went by, Rod. What could be causing that?
If you got a spark plug wire that's come off, or a rotor that's got a crack in it, anything like that takes away the electrical of the car can do that. And even possibly they might have broke a valve. And if they've broken a valve, that really kind of deadens off that 1 or 2 cylinders and really starts to raise havoc. Broken valves can be even worse. They run them as far as they can. You just hope that nothing gets too terminal and explodes anything, and which causes the end is night. But it's a points race. They've got to get as many points as they can, so they'll keep that thing running for as long as they are able to.
Yeah, he's up in the top 5 in points. He's been here every race. That is a really tough break for him. You know, I was wondering what happened to him at the end of the last caution, why he wasn't caught up to the field. He pitted pretty much with everybody else, and just, I don't know if he had to pit again, but it looks like we're going back green with only 14 laps to go when they come across the stripe. OJ now leads him down. He gets the green flag. Taylor Hurst is second, so they're going to have a little easier time as they clear some of those slower cars on the last green flag. Taylor is right there on the high side. Doesn't Spencer Preet now does not allow him to get down. Spencer Preet now dives down. This allows Taylor to take second place. Spencer Preet falls back in third. Robert O'Neill in fourth. Brock Colson is hung out to dry on the outside. Travis Brown now trying to take over that fifth spot from Brock Colson. Brock Colson not giving it up. There's, again, only 14 laps to go. Nobody's giving up anything now, unless maybe you're a lap car and you're not on the same lap as somebody else. But we have some blocking going back. We have Brandon Cruz Monteveas blocking the 50 car of Andy Lee, and that is for 8th place. So, you know, Brandon's been quiet all night long. And has run clean, except for one of the most recent cautions where he got into it a little bit with his front end. But he wants to capitalize on staying clean pretty much the entire race, and now he's unfortunately stuck on the outside, trying to hold on to every position he can. The last caution was deemed David Rudolph's fault. He got the black flag. He dove it in. He has now fallen off the lead lap, so we have 14 cars in the lead lap battling this one out. There's 10 laps to go. OJ Dampier is leading. This would be his first victory if he can hold on in split one. Taylor Hurst is saying no as he closes in a little bit more on the back bumper of OJ Dampier going into one. Taylor Hurst is a little faster in the center. OJ seems to be a little faster off. We've seen these, not these two in particular, but drivers, when you have to pass somebody, you usually need to pick a different line than the guy in front of you, Rod. How important is that?
Oh, absolutely. He's going to be just taking the line away from Taylor Hurst. He knows right where Taylor Hurst wants to be. He's going to try to get through the corners as smooth as he can, keep that car on the bottom so that Taylor Hurst cannot get off the corner and beat him down the straightaway. Those fresher tires are going to give him more grip off the corner, but if you can get it so that he cannot get underneath you, then you know, other way he's going to get by is going to use the old chrome horn.
Top 4 have pulled away from Brock Colson. We've seen that all night. Brock just not able to hold speed with those top 4 or 5 tier drivers. Brock Colson, 5th place, and Travis Brown, give a call to him. I think he runs the ARC After Dark podcast along with Michael Cozy Jr. and Spencer Preet. He spoke on there. Mark and I were guests on that podcast for an absent Michael Cozy Jr. And Travis spoke and said he probably thought he had an 8th or 9th place car, always hoping for a top 5, but he's definitely represented himself well tonight, staying out of trouble, running aggressively, but not too aggressive where he was putting his front end where it didn't belong. He's now running in 6th place, trying to get that top 5. That would be his first top 5 in a split one race. We now have 6 laps to go, 5 when we come down to the stripe. The front 4 all nose to tail, about 2 car lengths back from each other, all evenly spaced out. OJ Dampier brings it back down to turn 1. Off turn 2, he keeps the momentum off the corner. Taylor Hurst now is dropping back just a little bit. Interval at the line last time by was 0.35 tenths of a second, or seconds, 0.35 seconds. This time by, it was 0.398. So OJ able to extend the lead. 4 laps to go. Rod, what do you think is going to happen? You think OJ is going to be able to hold off? It certainly looks that way.
Oh, absolutely. I think if he can keep his car down there in the bottom groove and just try to keep Taylor from getting the run off the corner, like I said before, I believe he'll be able to do it. But, you know, this is short track racing. Taylor gets down near the, you know, closing laps. He get his nose up in there. He might rough him up a little bit just to take, you know, get that win away from him. But myself, personally, being my pick, I'd love to see OJ Dampierre win tonight.
Off turn 4, we have 2 laps to go at the stripe. We have a little bit of action, a little beating and banging back in the pack, a few lap cars getting together. They've held it straight. OJ continues to be a half a tenth to a tenth faster than Taylor Hurst. OJ's strategy, pit strategy, finally may have paid off as he comes around turn 3 and 4. He will lead the front 4 down to the stripe. They get the white flag this time by on lap 225. OJ Dampierre leads him into turn 1. Taylor Hurst in second. Spencer Preet in third. OJ Dampierre's teammates Robert O'Neill in fourth. Battle for fifth now between Brock Colson and Travis Brown getting sideways. They are bumping and banging on the backstretch. Travis Brown takes it to the inside. Meanwhile, OJ is going to come off the final turn and win it. And Taylor Hurst second. Spencer Preet, no challenge there. And coming to the line for fifth place, I think Brock Colson may have held him off. We'll have to check the standings. It looks like by 0.16 of a second, Brock Colson over Travis Brown. Wow, what a battle. We'll have to see if maybe we can get a replay of that last lap between those two. But I believe Travis Brown has earned many drivers' respect with the way he raced here tonight and just barely missed a top 5. Wow, Rod. Another race with a top 5 battle finishing with a photo finish.
Yeah, that was awesome. Remnants of Darlington with, I believe it was Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven there. They were just pounding on each other coming out of the last turn. Respectively pounding, I'd say. They weren't doing anything that was too bad. They were just both trying to gain the advantage, and they were roughing themselves up pretty good. If I didn't have the scoring loop in front of me, I would not have been able to tell you who won that one, or out of that battle, out of 5th and 6th. That was a really cool finish to watch.
Yeah, on the backstretch on that last lap, Brock Colson had that high line. I'm not sure if he got a little loose, mashing that pedal coming off the corner, but I saw them mid straightaway. Brock Colson just turned it down and endured Travis Brown, maybe trying to get a little more advantage. Brock knew that the high side was not going to be the preferred line going into turn 3, but he was able to maintain that spot just barely and finish and bring it home 5th place. A better showing than a week ago, with Brock winning the pole last week at Sobo and finishing last, being involved in an early accident. We're going to see if Michael Snow can catch up with any of the top 3 possibly. I think OJ Dampierre's, I think we're getting a report that his radio is broke, so we may have to get maybe Michael can catch up with him and just get a quote or something. Maybe OJ can let us know how important this win is for him. Having all that trouble early on in the season on pit road finally pays off. Rod, I'm a little surprised that the tire strategy he had paid off. It probably was only 5 or 6 laps on tires, but when you have the likes of Taylor Hurst and Spencer Preet behind you on fresher tires, you're probably going to get past.
Oh, I was pulling for OJ. I was hoping that he was going to pull this off, but in the back of my head, I was going, you've got Taylor Hurst and you've got Spencer Preet behind you on much fresher tires. Well, not much, but fairly fresher tires. I honestly didn't think he was going to be able to hold them off, but he did, which was really good. He actually was able to keep the car down on the low groove, probably pulling one of those old short track tricks where you actually wait for them guys to actually get on the throttle before you do on a short track, and then they have to lift, and of course just as soon as they have to lift, you get on the throttle and you walk away from him. So I'm very impressed with his run tonight. I had faith in him. I knew that he was going to pull one of these Martinsville wins off or win here pretty soon, but at Martinsville he's been really, really stout, so I'm pretty happy for him, and glad to see the strategy actually worked in his favor for a change.
Amen to that, Rod. A few weeks ago, I was talking with the drivers before one of the races, and they mentioned that they didn't mind having a caution fall every 30 to 40 laps, especially at these short tracks where it's dangerous to have a green flag run, where a caution falling at an inconvenient time for you will trap you 2-3 laps down if you have a leader staying out while everybody else is pitting. And yeah, so a lot of the drivers mentioned that they didn't mind having a sporadic caution fall every so often so they could come down and get those fresh tires. One of those drivers was Spencer Preet, who mentioned that to me, and I believe Michael Snow, our pit row reporter, has caught up with Spencer Preet.
Yes, sir, and I have Spencer Preet down here. Spencer, what do you think your strengths and weaknesses were tonight?
Well, my weaknesses were definitely the short run. Couldn't those restarts kind of killed me a couple times. It seemed like I was getting good pit stops and getting good field position, and I could get up to the front, especially on pit road. But when I got on the restarts, I was getting beat a lot by Taylor and OJ. They were just on a different level, and when the long run set in, I felt like I was a little bit quicker than most. I kind of felt like I just kind of stuck into third place and rode there, and wasn't quite fast enough to catch OJ or Taylor, but was fast enough to keep in third, and that's about how it went the whole race.
Spencer, this is Aaron up in the booth. Congratulations on your third place. We saw a lot of give and take here tonight. We don't normally see that from the front runners. I think we've been seeing it a little more often than not late in the season, probably because everybody's so comfortable with everybody else. When a guy's faster, he's not going to try to put the bumper in there where it doesn't belong. But talk about the give and take that I definitely saw you do and some of the others do throughout this race.
Well, I know for me personally, I'm not really trying to go out and win every race. I mean, I'd love to win every race, but I'm realistic, and I know I'm in the points lead. I know I'm definitely safe to make the top 30, and the only thing I'm racing for right now is just to not screw up my laps completed. I've ran every single lap and completed every single lap this season so far, and I'm kind of proud of that. So I want to keep that going. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't get put in bad positions, and I feel like I've been doing a good job of that of late.
Very good, Spencer. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Spencer. All right, so I also have Taylor Hirsch down here with us. Give me just a second. All right. And Taylor, what do you think your strengths and weaknesses were tonight?
The setup overall was good tonight from lap 1 of the run till the end of a fuel run. I tested earlier and did a fuel run, and it was really good, but I think my main weakness was straightaway speed. I don't think we went with the right gear tonight, and OJ was pulling me bad on the straightaways, and I just could not catch him.
All right. And what do you think you could do to improve as a driver out on the track by yourself?
I don't know, man. Got to work on my pit crew for one, man. I think I lost about 4 or 5 spots every pit. I thought as a driver tonight I was pretty consistent. I guess just work on the setup, really.
Taylor, on one of those last pit stops, it looked like you overshot your pit, and then you were able to make it out in front of everybody else. Did you just take 2 and make a split-second decision?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did, man. I was going to take 4 there, and I missed my stall, and I backed up, and then I was too far right, so I had to sling it sideways in my stall, and I was like, well, I got to take 2 now, or I'm going to come out 10th or something, and that's how we made that call there. And then that next caution, I was thinking about staying out because I knew some people were going to, and I saw OJ stay out, and I knew he had the race won right there.
It looked like there was about 4 or 5 drivers that were, pretty dead even. I mean, you, Spencer Preet, Robert O'Neill was up there. Your teammate Brad Newman. Unfortunately, Brad had a little bit of trouble towards the end of the race. I'm not sure what happened with him, but I know he got caught on pit road. But before that, he was on the tail end. I know you just said that you thought OJ had it won, but I'm surprised, even though it was only 4 or 5 laps extra on his tires over yours, I was surprised that you weren't able, as fast as you were, able to make a more of a run than you actually could.
Yeah, it seemed like whenever I was following people tonight, I just couldn't get off the corner real good. I was lacking some rear grip, and whenever I was out front, I could run my line like I wanted to, and I could come off a lot straighter. But whenever I got behind somebody and I started following their line, there wasn't really too much I could do, especially with OJ, man. He was fast tonight.
Taylor, Rod Weston up in the booth. Big question to you guys. You took 2 tires on that last stop. Obviously, you said because you overshot your pit stop. But did you think 4 tires were that much better than 2? Like probably in a long run situation. But if you only had like maybe 10 to 5 laps on the inside tires, did you see a really big difference between just taking 2 tires versus 4?
It felt about the same, really. Had about the same grip off. Just it made a little bit snug in the center of the corner. That was the main thing. But I think I would have been better off not even taking any tires at all, to be honest with you.
All right. So I got one more question for you here, Taylor. What are your predictions for the remaining of the season here?
I don't know, man. We got Michigan next week, and that's like super. It's like a super speedway for these things, and it's basically a lottery out there.
All right. Thank you very much. Do you have anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, man. I gotta thank Premier Race Network, GameVox, Air Precision Chassis Works, Brad Newman Photography, Setup Analyzer, A10 Hawaiian Ice.
All right. Well, I appreciate it very much. All right, Aaron and Rod, back up to you at the booth.
Thank you, Michael. That was a good set of interviews by the top 2 or the top 3. Unfortunately, again, OJ Dompier's our audio is not in play here, so he is down celebrating a little without us. Hopefully, we can get a word with split number 2 winner. We can find out who that was and get an update on that, as split 2 was happening at the same time as split 1. They had a little cleaner race than us. They had at least 3 cautions, but they were done a little earlier than this race was. So, Rod, what do you take away from tonight? A race as competitive as this, as we head away from the short tracks and back into our last race of the season, which we take these street stocks to Michigan for a 125 lap endurance race. What do you think is going to happen there?
As far as what do I take from the track, I think this tire is really working really well. They did get the groove worked up at the high side of it a little bit, so it was pretty impressive there. We had some really great side-by-side racing at the end. Michigan, well, let's see. Let's just first find out how this tire does over there. It'd be interesting to see where the groove actually works. Whether people can use the whole racetrack. You're going to see things a little differently. Everybody's not going to be running on that same little groove there. Lots of room, lots of speed. Then we'll get into the drafting. So where you'll see 2 cars actually start hooking up and pushing each other to gain more speed. So I'm really looking forward to Michigan. Picking the favorites, I think you probably see some of the same guys that are always running up front, going to be running up front. But I think you'll find that some of the drivers that may not be so fast at South Boston or Lanier or Martinsville, some of those drivers, I think you see like Travis Brown and Aaron Masters and a few of them other guys actually have a little bit more speed and be a little bit more competitive because now it's almost like racing at Daytona, but not quite. You got to have a decent car, but I think you'll see some of them guys actually show up a little bit more in the last race of the season.
That is exactly right, Rod. Tonight we had 10 cautions for 43 laps. Next week, we will probably see less cautions. We will probably see long green flag runs. Drivers can really only go 16 to 18 laps on a tank of fuel. The tires probably last about 12 to 14 laps before you lose the good of the tire. We're going to see a long race and probably a really good race. Like you mentioned, we are going to see the usuals up front, but it's also a race where somebody could possibly throw a Hail Mary. A driver like Paul Coleman, who always calls Michigan, really the only track where he says he's competitive at. It's really a home run where somebody could win on strategy. The track is so big that short pitting is an option here, where you don't go a lap down. It's almost like running a road course where you can pit when you want, as long as you're within touch of the leaders and not go a lap down. But the tire wear difference between old and new tires is so significant that it does make a difference. You do want new tires as early and often as you can. You just hate losing the track position when you have to go and get them. In our previous Michigan race, we've seen some great racing. It was already a 2 to 3 groove track, at least, with these cars. But with the new tire, I don't know what we're going to see. We're definitely going to see a few of those grooves rubber up, but are we possibly going to see a very, very, very high groove through the corner take place and maybe continue that high speed through the corner, whereas the guys running the low groove maybe have to back out more as they get loose and slide around? I'm not sure, Rod. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, the great unknown, as they call it. This tire, it actually said it surprised me how well it ran here tonight. And though we did see people at the 30 to 40 lap mark start to get the cars a little loose on the exit of the corner, which is good. I mean, you want to see things like that. It makes it more interesting. But like you said, Michigan, to me, I say it's a great unknown. I can't wait to get out there and just watch them in practice and see what they do and see if actually some of the drivers decide, well, hey, we want to run the high groove. Let's go up there and rubber up the high groove, and maybe that's the way we'll be the faster way at the end of the race. It's going to be really, really interesting. I think Michael has gotten some information for us about Split 2. Michael, what do you have about Split 2 tonight?
All right, thank you, Rod. We actually did not have any more cautions. All the cars that were running when I gave the first report about halfway through a Split 1 race, or we're still running at the end. The 75 of Cody Kelly actually won the race, leading 180 of the full distance, 225 laps. Quite a victory for Cody there.
Cody is around here, I believe. Wondering if maybe we can get a word with him. We'll try to see if we can do that as we start to wrap up this broadcast. Well, this was a race, another very competitive race and action-packed race from the beginning to the end. We saw another photo finish, Rod. This time for 5th place instead of 3rd place, as we saw last week, or 2nd place. Rod, any final thoughts?
Like I said, just the great unknown. I can't wait to get to Michigan. I hate to see the series end. I wish there was 20 more races after this one. It's been such a great, fun series to watch and to broadcast, and I'm really looking forward to see what Michigan brings, and then what happens with ARC from there on. And I'm excited to see ARC in about 5 years, and I know we've got a big plan for it, but I'm looking forward to the future. I think we've got a great thing going here, and it's exciting to be a part of.
All right, well, let's take a scroll through the final standings here. Again, OJ Dombier was victorious, finally overcoming a few pit challenges earlier on in the race, but he wiped those gremlins clean off his windshield and was able to come home with the win. Taylor Hurst finishing just a little over a half second behind in 2nd place. Spencer Preet in 3rd. Robert O'Neill, OJ's teammate, in 4th. Brock Holson gets a 5th place, just barely over a hard-charging Travis Brown in 6th. Aaron Masters 7th. Andy Lee 8th. Carson DeGiant Tommaso had a very busy day. Got into a few instances, brings it home 9th. And Martin Davio, a nice solid 10th place finish. Alan Anderson, 11th place. James Bunce was a few laps down, but got them all back. Finished on the lead lap in 12th. Brandon Cruz was up there towards the end, but couldn't hold off the other cars with better tires. finishes in 13th. And Chris Shaw, last car in the lead lap, 14th. He was another one of those guys. Stayed out and led a few laps under caution, but never really had the speed to challenge for a top 10. 15th, David Rudolph got into a little trouble later on, had a black flag, lost a lap. Brad Newman, what a heartbreak this is for him. Battled up there, top 4 all night, had a little trouble at the end. Not 100% sure if it was electrical. We do know he lost a lap on pit road. He brings it home to 16th. 17th, Daniel Vining, bad pick for Mark. Douglas Thompson, 18th. Paul Coleman, 19th. Looks like Paul Coleman did not win the battle of the lap cars. Douglas Thompson was able to be victorious over that. Douglas Thompson 3 laps down. Paul Coleman Jr. 9 laps down. And then a few cars, multiple laps down. Calvin Filarski in 20th, 45 laps down. Chuck Smith, unfortunately, had a few instances on the track, 110 laps down. And Carson Aubie, 22nd, 135 laps down. Well, with that, I don't think we were able to get a word in with Cody Kelly, unfortunately, but we'll try maybe next week to catch him on the pre-race. But tune in next week. We will have another split one race at our final track, an endurance race, 125 laps at the famed 2.0 mile oval, tri-oval, Michigan International Speedway. We will have a few different faces for next week as a few drivers fall out of the top 30 in points. A few drivers who were in split 2 today have managed to make their way back into split 1. So we'll catch you next time. For Aaron Keith, Rod Weston, pit road reporter Michael Snow, Mark Arthur on the keyboard and camera work. This has been ARC Racing Series. Good night.